Welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. Owen back again for another guest episode. Very excited for this one. Joining me in the studio, the one, the only, Emmy Mack.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Melbourne's turning it on.
The weather outside is gorgeous.
I'm not even wearing a jacket right now. That's crazy.
I feel bad for making you walk.
Reese is just saying hello. Hello, puppy.
It's because you had happy voice. You had podcaster voice.
Podcaster voice. I love your. This is the cutest co-host I've ever.
I mean, he is a charmer. He likes to say hello to all the guests. Thank you, Reese.
I love it. Thank you, Reese. Nice cameo.
Emmy, for people who might not be familiar with you and what you do, can you give us a brief introduction on who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Emmy, and I front a band called RedHook.
Yes.
And we make music that you can mosh to and that you can dance to. And we tour a lot. I sound like I'm in kindergarten. It's probably the dog. And outside of that, I'm just a big old music diehard. So I work in radio and do like music journalism and stuff like that.
You're doing all sorts of stuff.
I'm all over it. I got my finger in all the pies.
You are definitely an identity that I have seen around for a long time. I've seen your name on a whole bunch of different stuff, including RedHook. How long has the band been going now? I want to say like over a decade, right?
Oh, well, like it depends when you mark the timeline because I guess technically RedHook's existed since about 2015. But that was there was a long period of time where it was just during that time, like none of the other boys who are in RedHook now, it was just me, and like just trying to make fetch happen, just trying to make RedHook happen and beat my head against the brick wall, trying to find the right members and and just figure out what the hell I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But I guess I kind of see RedHook as officially starting when Craig. When I sort of found Craig and we sort of began that kind of musical partnership and released the debut single in like mid 2018.
Okay.
So I'm bad at maths. How long's that?
It's like 6 years?
Like 6 years, yeah.
I mean, you've got COVID in there, which throws it all out.
Totally.
You're like, is that 6 years?
Yeah, do we count that? I don't think we should count that. I think we're all 2 years younger than what we actually are.
So we're here to talk about the second album from RedHook.
Yep.
So you've already done the debut that came out last year.
I did.
And you've already been hard at work on the follow-up.
Yeah, we had to. I mean, it took us, 5 years to release our debut album. So we were like, all right, no stopping, here we go. And keep chipping away.
So the notes I have here, the album is called Mutation.
It's called Mutation.
It's coming out on November 22nd. Independent release in Australia, same as the debut.
Yep.
But you also have a new partnership with Adventure Cat Records.
AC, baby.
For international.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How did the cats from Adventure Cat come into the picture?
Well, I think look, we've always been we've always been a very, we've always been independent DIY. It's not like we're anti-label, but it's just we've never sort of like we've not knocked back a lot of deals like in the time that we've existed, and it's just because we got to a point where like when we released the debut EP, when we had the debut EP in the bag and we sent it to a lot of labels, and that was the point where we still needed a label because we weren't self-sufficient yet. Yeah. We could have used the money, but like the overwhelming reaction that we got was from labels was, we don't understand like what this is. Like we don't get it.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Well, like I think I remember one label said to us, they were like, would we put you on tour with like North Lane or the Veronicas? And we were like,
Both?
Porque de los dos.
Yeah.
Yeah. But by the time that we started to get, like, after that EP dropped and, you know, Bad Decisions kind of exploded and we started making money, and that's when the labels sort of came back
Interesting.
and wanted
Now
wanted a piece of it.
now we get
and we were
it.
like, motherfuckers, we don't need you now. Like,
Yeah.
we're making money. Like, RedHook's paying my rent. But Adventure Cat, just the difference there was they just offered us an extremely artist friendly deal. They're like, and so I was Matt, who is sort of one of the label heads.
Yeah.
We were already mates. He manages Stan Atlantic, and so we already have that kind of friendship connection. I trust him. I respect the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And he's just someone that I was really excited to work with. And also, and so we had like this little Zoom meeting with him and Mike Kaminsky, who's also like an absolute just legend of the game. Like, used to, you know, has worked with like Tonight Alive, Neck Deep. Like, he's just
over
like
it.
an absolute pillar in like punk music history.
Yeah.
And he was just a legend as well. And they just got it. It was just nice. Like, it was very different, you know, trying to, as opposed to like our previous experience with labels and having to convince them that, you know, what we were doing was worthwhile or like try and justify it. They just got it straight
Yeah.
away and they believe in it. So, and also like, we've kind of gotten to this point where independently, like, I mean, I don't sleep. It's just so much. Like, RedHook's more than a full-time job for me
Yeah.
right now. So like the thought of having more people in the team to help and help kind of get us to that next level, especially like internationally, because being independent, like, I think we've done a really great job in Australia so far, but in terms of like the rest of the world, like, we've toured overseas and stuff, but I think the benefit of having a label to sort of, you know, it's just even just having that infrastructure to be
Yeah.
able to tap into those markets that we don't really understand.
It helps open doors, but it also
Totally.
like opens doors that you didn't even know were there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
because you just don't have the knowledge or
and
the understanding.
to like belabor the metaphor, like, instead of you just like wandering around in the dark trying to figure out what doors to knock on, they're like this one, let's go.
yeah, here you
Yeah.
go.
No, you're right.
Up
Like,
to you. Yeah, no.
that expertise is like crucial.
100%. So it was just all of those factors, just like just people who are legends and that I trust and that I'm really excited to work with, and who are just really and just like a really, really awesome deal that made sense to us for where we
sick.
are in our career. And also, I just love that. Because I feel like we've always kind of felt like underdogs, and I think Adventure Cat, because they're like a smaller boutique label, who have a really strong ethos that just really aligned with us. So that to me is kind of a lot more. It just feels like a lot more aligned with what we're about than like, you know, if we were to sign with like
It's
one
like
of the big dogs.
spiritual alignment.
A spiritual alignment, an emotional connection.
I like that you touched on this underdog characteristic, because getting a press release for the record and kind of running through the details, the thing that stuck out to me was your use of the term outsider. And I'll kind of paraphrase your quote, but you were basically saying that, like, not a lot of people kind of got what we were doing in the beginning, and, you know, now we're here, we're strong, we're rocking it. So we're making music for the people who did get it, for the weirdos, for the outsiders, for the people who, you know, were on our wavelength from the beginning.
Yes.
So let's kind of interrogate that a little bit. Like, what is it about RedHook, and maybe you specifically, that you see as embodying that kind of outsider perspective? Is that something that you relate to personally?
Oh, big time. I mean, I've felt like that my whole life. Okay. It's just like, I think for me, and like as a person, and as well with RedHook by extension and our music, it's kind of that thing of like not really knowing where you fit.
Yeah.
and not really feeling like there's any, like you don't really, you can't, there's not like a nice little happy box and you're like, I'm this. And for me, like personally, like I've always felt like, I guess it's just this kind of I guess like the female artist thing kind of comes into it, especially in heavy music, because there was never, like we talk about influencers or whatever, there was anybody that I was like, oh, that's me, like that person represents me and I want to be just like them. Like I never really had that. So all of my influences are like a shit fight. Like I like this about this artist and I like this about this artist and I you know, kind of combine all those things into what I do.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of, and that kind of like extends to a lot of things, even just like fashion and like the way that like, you know, I can be, I remember like I've had so much like in my time in the music industry, like that been picked apart. Like I remember like an old manager said to me once, like, you know, well, I don't really, you know, your social presence, it's like you have these photos where you look really glamorous and then these other photos where you look like a tomboy, like, but what are you? Like, which one? And I'm like, why can't I be, why do I have to choose one? Why do I have to?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because it's like, it's an easier brand for people, that's more palatable for people to understand.
I'm a person.
Fuck that. I'm not a brand. I can be all of those things because they're all a part of my personality. Humans are not brands. Humans are complicated, you know, and multifaceted. And like, so, you know, I can be, you know, in the Cannibal music video, I can be sexy and like, you know, tap into that part of my personality, or I can, you know, or I can be fucking Fred Durst, like, energy, like if I want, because I relate to all those things. It's all authentic. Like it's all part of who I am. And like, I fucking hate this whole industry mentality that you have to be this one thing. It's like, no, I fundamentally reject that. And, you know, whatever, like if it doesn't work for me as an artist and it confuses people, then fine. But there are people who do get it. And like with the album and like with the music that RedHook makes, it's like the same thing. It's diverse. Yeah. You know, we're telling different stories, channeling different vibes, different flavors, and they're all authentic and they're all a part of us. But it's like, we're not the kind of band that's just going to write the same song, like, you know, a million times or write the same album. Like it's always gonna be wacky and different and weird and be tapping into those little different fractured pieces of our personality and we made it for the people who do get that, who understand that.
And I think that's what strikes me so much about the band, is that you've had this kind of idiosyncratic rebellious streak from the very beginning. And, you know, I'm not too proud to admit that, like, I didn't quite get it in the beginning.
So fair.
But it took some time and I heard different songs and eventually it kind of clicked and I was like, oh no, now I get it, because it's just RedHook. Yeah. It's just what they're doing. Yeah. And like, you're exactly right. Like trying to pigeonhole people, trying to drop what you're doing in a particular box, like it's not going to work.
Yeah. And I think that it's funny, like you hear like, you know, like the like, you know, in the industry and you hear all this stuff about like people talking shit, and like there's a lot of, that's why I always you know, when we like especially in the heavy scene, like when we sort of have friendships with artists that do get it as well, like that means a lot, because I know there's a lot who don't and who like just talk shit about us and stuff, which is, I don't know, it's kind of funny. It's always, but you're always gonna get that, like it's,
yeah, I mean, you can't please everyone.
That's what my psychologist keeps telling me.
It's true. It's a fundamental fact of life. You will, you know, break your head open banging against a wall trying to please everyone.
And I think I'm definitely, especially with this new album, it's something that I'm learning more and more, and it's a mentality that I'm embracing more and more, and just trying to like give less fucks and just do and just you know, especially like just kind of block out the rest of the industry, because at the end of the day, for any artist, all that matters is your fans and the people who listen to your music. And that's why, you know, with album 2, there's going to be so many people who don't get it, and that's fine. We didn't make it for them. It's not for you.
Exactly.
It's for our people.
I guess I want to keep kind of focusing on kind of the earliest incarnation of RedHook, because I'm curious, like, if you've always felt this desire to like not be pigeonholed and you felt this outsider perspective, what was the point where you took that and turned that into art and creativity and music? Was there a point where you had all these emotions brewing? You're like, you know what? I need to get on stage. I need to scream. I need to sing. I need to throw this shit at other people's faces to make myself feel better.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think for me, like before I was in RedHook, I was in like this like 80s inspired metal band.
Sick.
And when I was, which was fun, cheesy as fuck, but like fun as hell. But when I was doing that, I when I was writing songs, I was trying to be cool. And, you know, I was trying to like write lyrics that I thought that people would think were cool.
Yeah.
And like do stuff that was like, and I would like, you know, wail and just try and flex really hard and like with my vocals and stuff. And it was just the wrong mentality to have.
Yeah.
And I think I credit my producer and one of my best friends in the world, Stevie, for kind of helping me kind of tap into and just making me realize that like it's so much more powerful if I'm like just being real.
Yeah.
And that was really scary to me at first, like actually like expressing like and I also think that I kind of have this mindset because I'm very self-deprecating and self-loathing. I tend towards that a lot, like this whole like, oh, no one cares like what I have to say or like what I've been through, like my you know stupid life, like no one cares about that, like why. But no, like it was and it sounds so silly like thinking back to it, but that was just kind of the key to kind of unlocking that and just really just letting that go and just letting myself be vulnerable in my lyrics and be real and tell those personal stories that I thought no one would give a fuck about. And you know, getting over myself, just getting over my own
getting out of your own way.
Getting out of your own way. That's the one.
Big key.
I wanna see somebody brand new now. When I look in the mirror each night, lets me wear a crown, doesn't drag me down out of sight. Yeah. I'm over it, so strong, we were never exclusive. I'll break it up with all the lies and the abuse, but it's not.
Talking about personal stuff in lyrics, there's been 5 single releases from the album so far.
Yeah, there's been
so there's been a bunch. So Cannibal is kind of like a spiritual successor to Jabberwocky.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of dig into, I guess, like the after effects of releasing those 2 songs, because you've spoken about what those 2 songs are about. I don't really want to rehash the details for everyone on the pod. You can go read.
You can just Google it.
You can just Google it. You can go read Emmy's op-eds. It's in her words. It's much more authentic
it's really graphic. It's talk a lot about blowjobs.
But I guess this idea of vulnerability, right? Like being able to take some horrific stuff that happened to you and some really dark stuff and turn that into positive art and to, you know, put that on the table with your bandmates and create music together.
Yeah.
Like, I would imagine that that's a very vulnerable, almost alienating thing to try and do, and you succeeded, but kind of walk me through that. Like, was there a point where you were like, I don't know if I can do this? Like,
yeah, it's I think, yeah, it's definitely been a journey. And I think releasing Jabberwocky was the scariest thing that I'd ever done, because I didn't know how people react. I was terrified how people would react, or like, or if like no one would care, or like, you know, it was really, really scary.
Yeah.
But it was a song that just came pouring out of me, and I felt like it was weird. I almost felt like, because when I went through that experience, I didn't have there wasn't a song that I could, because you know, a lot of the time, like, you know, when shit things happen to us, we listen to music that resonates with that experience, and
Sure.
it helps us, even if it makes us cry, it helps us feel better.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a song that I could do that with after like the experience that inspired Jabberwocky. So I felt like I needed to write one, because I was like, if I don't have that, like, you know, this is an experience that I know so many women go through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just felt like this, you know, even though I was fucking shit scared about it, it just felt like more important than just me. And like releasing Jabberwocky is still, I feel like, the most important thing that I've done in my entire life. And I'm so glad that I was, you know, that I did it. I'm so glad. And it is like, it is a lot. Like it is, it's terrifying putting yourself out there like that.
Yeah, I can
It
imagine.
really is. But also just like, man, like even just before the song even came out, we played it live on our headline tour just before it was released. And even just doing that and getting to share that story with the fans first, and the amount of love and people who came up to me afterwards and were just talking about how much they related to it and how important it was to them. And even now, you know, like any show we play, like or like people always come up and especially women who tell me how much that song means to them. And it's just like, it's bigger than me now, you know, like
Yeah.
it's yeah, sorry, I get emotional when I talk about Jabby, but it yeah, it's like, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Even when it can be a lot, you know, when you have all these people just pouring their heart out to you about how much a song means to them and telling you like what they've been through. Yeah, it's just felt so worthwhile, and it's given me the courage to like then, you know, release a song like Cannibal.
Yes.
And you know, keep and I think and yeah, and there'll be more songs where I just feel like I've seen the power now of being that vulnerable and sharing that much of yourself and how and the positive impact that has on so many other people, and it's definitely something that I want to keep doing.
Yeah, I had Beck from Terminal Sleep on the show a couple of weeks ago now, maybe a month ago. I can't remember. I do too many of these. And we got into a similar conversation about her lyrics and being, you know, a woman in heavy music and being someone that particularly young women and girls will look up to and come up to after a show and kind of, you know, pour that kind of, you know, love at you and thank you for doing what you're doing. And I asked her, and I'll now ask you, like, do you ever think of yourself as a role model?
Oh,
Is that a difficult thing?
That's a very scary thing to think of, because like, I mean, look, you know, if you've listened to the I get very uncomfortable about being called a role model, because
Yeah.
like you listen to most RedHook songs, like Bad Decisions, like, you know, like I semi hate myself. Like it's something that I'm like working on not doing. So I like that I can do things. I like that there are elements of what I have done that inspire people. I love that and I cherish that so much, and I'll never take that for granted. But being a role model is scary because it's like it's almost like you can't do anything wrong. And I have fucked up, like you know, like I was like a mess in my 20s. So many of my songs are about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole idea of being a role model is, unless I guess it just depends, like yeah, like I'm someone who has, like we all have, like made mistakes in their past and am working to be better, and I'm getting better at it, and I'm doing the work. And if that's cool with people, then I'm cool with being a role model.
I
But,
mean, yeah, and I think that perspective I think is crucial, because you're right. Like the slippery slope with being a role model is being held to a higher standard.
Yeah, do not
then-
hold me to a higher standard. I am flawed. Like,
yeah.
I am a flawed human.
But we all are.
Yeah, exactly. We all are.
That's the thing. And
So-
you said as much, when we started talking, right? That like you're a complex person. You like different things. You want to do different things. You don't want to
Yeah.
be boxed in. And I think maybe not in those terms and those words, but everyone feels that way.
I think so.
And everyone fucks up and everyone's messy and
Totally.
everyone
Like, we're all fucked
Yeah.
in the head, and every day we're just trying to be less fucked in the head and just trying to be
Exactly.
better. And yeah. So if people resonate with that, then hell to the yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, let's talk about the record. Let's talk about the sonics of the record. The title is obviously like a good metaphorical kind of indicator. The writer and journalist in me is like, ooh, mutation, interesting. So like I'm thinking of change, I'm thinking of adaptation, I'm thinking of evolution. So maybe we could start off by thinking like, what lessons did you learn from releasing the first record, and how did you incorporate those lessons into Mutation?
Are we talking from like an industry standpoint?
Whichever one you want to
Whichever.
run with. Yeah.
Well, I think
the most important, perhaps.
I think the one thing that I will say, I mean, like one thing that I loved about Postcard from Living Hell and that release was like going back to what we were saying about the diversity in
Yeah.
like the songs, and there wasn't a single song off that record that wasn't someone's favorite, and I love that. I love that every song has its own personality, its own character, its own message.
Yeah.
And that was something that we wanted to carry, that especially I wanted to carry into Mutation. Like, I don't want you to be able to listen to any RedHook record and have it all just kind of blend together. Like I want the songs to all jump out and hit you in the eardrums in different ways.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that this record hopefully will also achieve. But at the same time, sonically, in terms of the music, I think we're taking things even further with the experimentation side of things. It's a bit crazier, it's a bit wackier. We're making like different artistic choices than we would have made when we were doing the Postcard LP. But also like the message behind the music. Like you mentioned, Cannibal being like kind of like a spiritual like successor to Jabberwocky. There's a lot of that on this album. There's a lot of sequels.
Scream 2,
Scream
for
2,
instance.
exactly. Yeah, that's a sequel to Cure for Psycho. So it's like I think like all good sequels, it has the same like enough familiar elements from the original album.
Yeah.
But it's taking them further and exploring new places, and it's just an evolution. An evolution in every way.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't heard the record. I've only heard the singles like everyone else.
I can
but-
send you the record if you want.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Try. Now I'm taking myself back. You're just a tourist. I quit ya. You came into my life to take bitches. Bitch, I promise forever. Then jumped on the next shit. Hope you had a nice trip. Hope you had a nice trip. And now I'm waving bon voyage to all your bullshit.
I agree. Like the identity of RedHook, the authenticity of the band is very much on display on all those tracks, but I wouldn't say that any of them sound alike. So you've like succeeded in that, very like specific aspect. I guess like, was there any kind of overarching theme or concept going into the record, or did you get these songs together as like a batch of material and then realize that they had all just like become mutated strains of what you were working with, and that's kind of the concept, right?
Yeah, it was kind of more of that.
Yeah.
It was like
I can see that happening fairly easily.
Yeah, definitely. And this whole experience was very different too, because with the Postcard album, we sort of, that came together in just like dribs and drabs when we were snatching little time for writing and recording in between tour dates. Whereas this one, we had more of a chance to just really dig in and write. watch the songs evolve from like these little 1-minute demos to like what they became.
Yeah.
So that was also like a different experience. And I think like even though yeah, all the songs do have that diversity and they're all very different from each other, I think that the upshot of that whole experience of writing and recording it will hopefully be like also a more unified record as well, if that makes sense.
No, totally. I get that.
It's a bit of a oxymoron.
No, I think that makes perfect sense, because if you're trying to work on, you know, a cohesive piece of music in spits and spurts between tours and headline runs and whatever else, like, you're not going to be able to capture the same feeling, the same kind of energy. Like,
That's true.
Things are going to be a little bit varied.
I think Postcard was very chaotic, like in a good way and also maybe in a not so good way. Whereas I think Mutation is just it's a stronger record in every way.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows the sequels are always better. Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Aliens.
Dude, one of my like literally top 5 favorite movies of all time.
It's a great film.
Fantastic.
We all know the sequels rock.
Yeah.
Okay. We've kind of touched on the record. We've touched on the band. We went through the dark stuff, so we don't have to touch on that anymore. Let's go positives. You recently just made your Like a Version debut.
Yes! Oh,
the track rules, and
Dude,
it looks
thank
like you
you.
guys had a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I was very pleased to see saxophone in there, so that's great.
Yeah, got to rep the sax.
Tell me about that experience. How was that for you?
Oh man, well, I was shitting absolute fucking bricks, like honestly.
I mean, surely you're a pro at this point, Emmy. Like, you would have just walked in there.
Man, I work at Triple J and I'd never been to the Like a Virgin studio. It's a completely different floor. It's shrouded. The whole process is shrouded in so much
Can't
mystery.
use a key card to get on that floor.
I probably could, but I just didn't know. I wouldn't have even known where to go. But yeah, like it was terrifying. But so much fun, and I'm so glad. Like, yeah, we had the horn section, and Stevie, our producer, who I mentioned before, came and did it with us, and Amy from Vilify and the Beautiful Monument came and did the Cannibal guesties.
Yep.
And I think just being surrounded by so many mates who've been there kind of since the start just made it. It was so beautiful. Like Stevie, because Stevie, like, I'm going to shout him out so hard because he's one of my best mates, and he's the reason that this band exists. Like, he's the reason that I didn't quit.
Yeah.
Like, him just, you know, being my Yoda and believing in me and just like steering me in the right direction and not letting me give up when I was really, really close to. And he's just moved to the US.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, the timing was just so beautiful that we got to do this Like a Version with him, and he got to be there for it and play with us. It was like 2 days before he left. So it just felt, I don't know, it just felt really like it was just like a night, like fate almost. I know this sounds wanky, but it was just beautiful. It was like a really beautiful moment to be there and to do it surrounded by all our friends. And I was really, really scared that you always, because, you know, like we don't get, I'm scared I'm going to jinx this, but we have such a beautiful community of fans.
Yeah.
And we haven't been exposed to much nastiness on the internet, really, because all of our fans are so amazing, and everyone that RedHook seems to attract to our little club.
The outsiders.
They're really beautiful, empathetic, like amazing people.
Yeah.
So I was shitting my pants that like, you know, this going out to like people who are beyond our fan base, like, you know, Triple J listeners. I was just like, man, are we gonna get torn to shreds online? Are we gonna get some cops of cyberbullying? I was just not ready for it. I was like, my skin's not thick enough for this.
I saw it. I was up doing some late night editing, and I saw the video go up, and I got the press release in my email, and I saw it when it had, I think, a couple of hundred views. So I was in there pretty early.
Yeah.
And the comments were like universally positive. And I did make a note, and I was like, I'm going to check this in a couple of days.
And see how many fuckwits there are in the comments
Not
section.
even that. I was just like, I just want to see like the
Yeah.
views. I want to see what people are saying. I want to see what happens when it gets a bit of momentum. And I mean, like, I haven't even checked now. I'm sure it's at like 20,000 views or something. But like, yeah, people are always going to talk shit on the internet. Like, you
Yeah.
can't.
Can't escape it.
No.
Yeah.
And I
There's-
mean, I think like there have been some historically bizarre like aversion choices.
Absolutely. Yep.
I feel like I don't want to say you played it safe. You played it to your strengths,
Yeah.
and it felt like a RedHook performance, which
That's
is
good.
what it's supposed to be. You're
That's
supposed to do your
That's what we
version.
wanted. And I
Yeah.
think like, cause originally I was like, nah, dudes, like I wanted to do Limp Bizkit so bad. Like I would have loved to have done Rage, but you can't cover Rage after Denzel Curry. Like
No,
he's
he
just ruined
crushed that.
he's just ruined it for everyone
Yeah.
because he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to do some new metal, but I think this was the better choice because like and you know, we said this in the Triple J interview as well, but it's like if we covered a new metal song, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah.
We can't really make it our own, and it's already heavy. You know, this was more fun because it got to like because Craig came up with the arrangement, and we did originally the demo that we sent to Triple J of Tate McRae's Greedy. We did do a mashup. It was mashed up with Limp Bizkit.
Ooh.
I was like, come on, man, let's just try. Let's just see if it
what Limp Bizkit are we talking
break
about?
stuff. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Robbed.
Oh
Well, you
man,
robbed
it
us of
was
that.
like it would have been fun, but it was a bit too wacky. It was
Release
a bit
the
too
biscuit cut.
crazy. Release the biscuit. I've got the demo, man. I'll show you after this if you want. But
Hell yeah.
but yeah, I think it was better. So what we did, we were just like, okay, like the bridge in the Tate song is so simple, and it's really a verse 3. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like pretty, and we were like, okay, now we're just gonna like let's try and do it. I want to do like at least a little bit of rappy shit, like a little bit of new metal energy, and so we just like completely redid it and came up with our own. It was basically like taking Tate's lyrics and just like giving them that break stuff energy, and then
Yeah.
adding a horn section.
I mean, and I mean this with all sincerity, like it sounds like a Red Hood song.
That's awesome.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's what
I'm
you
glad.
want. Like you really did make it your own.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have wished for a better like version.
Oh, I'm so glad you liked it.
I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, honestly, I've been blown away by all the positivity. Because again, like, I think I'm just programmed. I'm just like, are people going to understand this, or are they going to be like, the fuck did I just listen to? But yeah, their reaction has been so overwhelmingly positive, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah,
and
sick.
yeah, it's just made it. I was like, well, even if we get crucified for this, like at least we've done it. But now it's just such an added bonus that people are really vibing with
Yeah.
it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Heard you were plotting something lethal. Oh, oh, oh. Hey, killer, dying for a sequel. Oh, 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 oh. Heard you were plotting something lethal. Oh, oh, oh. You know you're trying to get inside my head.
Speaking of good vibes, when I publish this episode, not to jinx myself, you should be at the beginning of your most recent and current tour,
Hell yes.
starting in
Canberra, baby. ACT.
talk to me about the tour. Are you pumped? Are you excited?
I'm so excited. It's gonna be sick. Again, we're just up in the ante on the wacky shenanigans. And this is kind of the reason why as well I like, with our songs and these albums and like having music that has like many different vibes. It just kind of makes for just like a really exciting live show for us. Like we're never bored because like, we'll go from like having like, have like a wall of hugs or like a saxophone circle pit, and then or then there'll be another song where it's just like a crazy wall of death and just, people just like going absolutely ham in the mosh.
Yeah.
It's it's good. And then you'll have like those really like the really just beautiful moments. Like Jabberwocky is always just like so amazing, and everyone, so many people sing along, and yeah, it's just like lots of different vibes. It's a real roller coaster, but yeah, we don't get bored. So hopefully no one else will get bored.
I don't think there's any chance of that. Now, with the lineup, is that a band curated lineup? Did you pick those?
Yeah.
I think it is an interesting choice and one that I support because regular listeners, watchers will know I'm a big supporter of mixed bills.
Yes.
And this is probably the most mixed bill lineup I've seen in the last few months.
Oh, okay.
To its credit. I just think it's sick. Like to have RedHook, Beautiful Monument, Eat Your Heart Out,
Yes.
You're Great, Patient 67, like just a cool selection of bands from all over the country.
Yep.
All kind of outsiders in their own way, which I think
Yeah.
is tying back to this theme of the episode. But yeah, did you have a particular kind of vibe in mind when you were putting that lineup together? Was it a collaborative thing with the band, your management?
Yeah, it was. The boys and I were just talking about it, and it was just really cool. Like TBM are they're our really good mates, and we've never gotten to play with them before. So we were just like,
That seems wrong.
I know, like what the hell? But yeah, so we just really wanted them, and we've. Same thing. Always been like huge fans of Eat Your Heart Out, and Patient 67 are just so sick. Like and I think, and I don't know. I just feel like they all we all kind of have the same kind of like we have a bit of a kinship.
Yeah.
Like that. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's kind of that thing. Like it's all like we're all doing our own thing. We're all in our own lane. And I think it's just going to bring like a lot of different herbs and spices to the bill.
That's what a
and they're
mixed
all
bill is
just
supposed to
awesome
do.
people too. Like touring with good people it just makes such a difference. Such a difference.
Yeah.
And like all of those bands are just absolute freaking legends, and we're just really excited to hang out and I think the fans can sense that too. Like when you have a lot of camaraderie on the lineup, and we're gonna get them all up on stage for like different features and like different collabs and stuff. It's gonna be so incestuous. But I think that makes it more fun for the fans as well. Like it's just because you feel like if there's a community on stage, you're gonna feel a part of that community, and you are a part of that community.
It's bringing the audience kind of into the stage and vice versa.
Everyone's like
Everyone wins.
everyone's friends.
Yeah.
It's just good vibes.
Sick.
Yeah.
I will put links in the show description for tickets. If people don't have tickets, what are you doing? Get
What
tickets.
are you doing? Come to the show, man.
Come to the show.
It's not like anyone else is touring. I'm kidding. There are so many bands touring. So many shows. Way too many shows. But it's good.
It's sending
good.
me broke trying to keep up with shows.
Literally.
It's crazy.
I know. I felt like such a piece of shit because I keep like hitting people up for doors. I'm like, I'll put you on the door for my show if I can get a ticket to yours.
No, you got to do it. Like you
Gotta do it.
You got to get some perks,
It's
right?
the musician economy, man.
Yeah, come on.
You know?
That makes perfect sense. All right, let's wrap up the discussion here before we go over to the bonus round real quick to finish. Album release, November 22nd.
November 22nd.
Do you have any future plans, touring, shows, anything you want to like sneak peek reveal for us?
Oh yeah, okay. This will be a little bit of a scoop.
Okay.
We're working on some like cool. They won't necessarily be proper live shows, but it'll be like some really zany, wacky party vibes across the East Coast around the album release.
Nice.
And it's just going to be like a good time. We're going to make each of them themed after like one of the songs on the album. And yeah, it's going to be some wacky, crazy fun.
That sounds dope.
Yeah. More to come. More to come.
Just keep your schedules clean.
Keep your schedules clean around that weekend.
Around November.
Yeah,
late
November. Yeah,
okay.
you know.
That works.
It's all right. It was just save the date.
All right. Well, congratulations for the future release in November.
Thank
because
you.
I've got you here now, so I can give you congratulations now.
Oh, thank you. We love it. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. Emmy, that wraps up the main portion of the show. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you
and
so
doing
much
this
for
one.
having me.
This is awesome. Thank you so much.
So much fun.
Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.